Intercontinental with Secretary of State Tony Blinken. He'll head over to the Pentagon this afternoon for a meeting with Lloyd Austin, the Defense Secretary, and then back here to the hotel later today with National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan. There'll also be a meeting this morning, Eastern Time, with a couple of officials from the AIPAC lobbying group. Always a standard visit when the Prime Minister comes to Washington. So a set of meetings here. Naftali Bennett had an interview here at the New York Times over the last 24 hours or so that was published. He made his case for why the United States and Israel and the rest of the world, for that matter, should not re-enter the nuclear accord. Kind of laid out his vision for what he sees will be a fruitful U.S.-Israeli relationship under the Biden-Bennett premierships. Said he's coming here essentially with goodwill to reestablish a good rapport with the American administration that took somewhat of a downturn when we saw Democratic administrations under Obama and then Biden not mesh very well with Benjamin Netanyahu, the previous Israeli Prime Minister. Bennett, even though he's right-wing in nature, trying to set more of a good-natured tone with the American administration. Now, while these meetings will take place today and tomorrow, Bennett did hold virtual meetings last week with 7 members of the U.S. Congress, a meeting that was put together by the U.S.-Israel Education Association. 6 Republicans, 1 Democrat were on the call. We spoke yesterday with Representative Jack Bergman of Michigan's 1st District and asked him what exactly Naftali Bennett told those Congress members in his very first conversations with members of the United States Congress. Let's give a listen to that interview with Representative Bergman.
As he stated it, I thought very, very clearly, the relationship with Israel really kind of sets the tone for other relationships in the area. And we talked a little bit about the Abraham Accords and what that really means and the positive nature of that. Well, I say suitably, if you're going to be elected prime minister of a country, a major country, you got to have your act together. So he was very articulate and well-versed in all of the subjects that we discussed, which is the mutual support that the U.S. and Israel give each other, especially in the technology market or biomedical or pharmaceuticals or all of those things that create a better life around the entire world.
And Dan, while the Iran issue will certainly be at the top of the agenda, probably A, B, and C on the list, of course, the Palestinian issue is not going away, as we heard Representative Bergman allude to. Bennett has already proposed that while there's going to be no progress, essentially, on the Israeli-Palestinian front in terms of a solution to the conflict, Bennett telling the New York Times in his first international interview that he will suggest to President Biden here economic measures that can sort of lessen and contain and manage the conflict and make the lives of Palestinians easier in Judea and Samaria, the West Bank. Again, though, Bennett has already made clear he has no intention of moving forward on any kind of Palestinian state or long-term solution to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. He says he's opposed to it to begin with, and his government just can't handle it with the fragile nature of that wide spectrum of government factions that he's currently leading back in Jerusalem.